Hi, I'm Pan. I'm going to talk today about behavior. One thing that's used with cognitive behavioral therapy is behavior activation. Behavior activation is designed to increase positive, rewarding activities. The work that's involved with that is identifying specific goals and working to meet those goals. These goals can be pleasurable activities that you used to enjoy or you would like to see yourself enjoying in the future. One example is if your goal is to be a compassionate person, you might pick a goal that involves volunteering or helping a friend or working on a charity fundraiser. Changing behavior sounds pretty simple. It is the easiest of the three factors of CBT to change. It is easier to change your behavior than your thoughts and your feelings because it can be a very small behavior. But when you're not feeling motivated, it can be overwhelming. It can be very difficult to make these changes, which is why it's important when you're beginning to choose goals that are realistic and goals that are important to you. Sometimes when we're trying to think of activities to do, we get caught up in what we think other people want us to be doing, how other people want our lives to look. So when you're exploring behaviors or activities that you would like to work toward, they have to be important to you, not just to the people around you. What matters to you? What kind of life are you trying to build? Come up with specific activities that really matter to you and are about your values and your desires. This helps you get a little bit of motivation when you're experiencing low motivation or high anxiety. It's also important to choose behaviors that are really easy to measure. So one behavior, for example, that I have been working on is to consistently take my medication. With depression, it gets really easy to forget your medication when you're feeling well, or even when you're not feeling well. For me, I work a lot of back shifts and different shifts, and trying to find a specific time to take my medication has been a challenge. So one thing I did was I said, okay, I'm going to take my medication consistently every day. So when I looked at that goal, I had to go, okay, what do I need to do to set myself up for success for that goal? So I have a calendar, and that is pinned up on my bedroom wall, and my medication is in a blister card, and that is also pinned to the calendar. So before I start my day, I walk over, I take the pill out of the pack, I have a water bottle, I take my pill, and then I pick up the marker that's right there and I put a little check mark. So I know if I've worked a back shift and I've come home and gone straight to bed and forgot to take it, I know by looking at the calendar, if there's no little check mark there, then I forgot to take my medication and I should take it. So being very specific is important. So in that goal, the specific goal was to consume my medication and put a check. If I had just said, I want to get better, that's a very broad and abstract idea. It's not measurable. It's not specific. Another example is I want to be more organized. Again, that's really broad for a goal. Instead, you could decide, I'm going to organize my kitchen. Or, it doesn't even need to be that big, I'm going to organize a drawer in my kitchen. The goals you set are very personal, and they have to meet you where you are. So deciding today, after years of not keeping my house up to date in cleanliness, that I'm going to have a perfectly sparkling home is not realistic. Not realistic at all. I am at a point where I'm going to load the dishwasher once today is a goal that I can maintain. An obstacle that can get in the way of changing your behavior is we can experience a lot of avoidance behavior. And one way to combat this is to start from the easiest task and work your way up. If you can visualize that as building a foundation brick by brick. So if you have a large goal and you break it down into a lot of little goals, you can think of each of those little bricks as a goal that's going to work to build up to your longer term goals. If your goals start to become overwhelming after you've made your list and you're like, okay, I'm going to choose these 2 activities and I'm going to make sure I do those all the time, and you're finding maybe you weren't ready to be at that point yet, it's okay to go back and reevaluate that. And actually it can be helpful to go back and reevaluate that, because sometimes you were able to do more than you thought, or you can look at the goal you set and go, you know what, I can probably break that down into even smaller steps. Variety is good, to choose activities of different varieties. The more variety you have in your life, the more balanced your life is. You can mix up your activities between interacting with family and friends, self-care, achieving small goals, doing a project. If you keep those activities varied, you don't get bored with just doing one activity all the time. You can have 3 or 4 to pick from and not necessarily do the same one every day. If you find that it's hard to get motivated, that you've listed activities that you used to love, but you're still having a hard time, ask friends for support. Let them know about your activities and what your goal for the week was, and let them know how to check in. If simply saying, oh, how's that goal going, is going to be a phrase that's going to cause anxiety, give your support person that you choose the right words to use for you. Even when people are doing things that are fun, they can still exhibit avoidance. You could be stuck in your head, worrying and ruminating. And it makes it difficult to connect with the positive aspect of engaging in that activity in the first place. So when you are engaging in whatever activity it is, try to be mindful and present in what you're doing when you're engaging in those behaviors. You want to fully experience the behavior. You've chosen this because it's a behavior that makes you feel better. So an important part of that is to be present in the moment when you're engaging in the behavior. Take it slow. Behavior activation looks simple and sounds simple to do. It can be really difficult when you're experiencing low motivation or high anxiety. Taking it slow and setting reasonable goals is really important. So start off with a few activities, maybe one activity, and slowly build up that foundation. Add an activity after a week, or add an activity after a month, whatever time frame is working for you. If you start to be overwhelmed, remove one. Reevaluate. Go, okay, I'm going to do this activity until it's consistent, until it feels normal and I'm doing it without having to remind myself to do it anymore. Another really important thing, especially if minimizing the positive is a cognitive distortion that you fall into a lot, rewarding yourself for your progress is really important. Recognizing your accomplishments. This can increase your motivation and give a little boost to move forward, especially when you're in a low mood. Something that's helpful to do when you begin your activities is to record how you felt before you engaged in that activity and after you were finished. So when thinking about behavior activation for yourself, list things you have control over and that you will be able to do. Think about the obstacles that would get in the way of doing the activity, and what can you do to plan for success? How can you remove those obstacles to get that activity done? What will you do to remind yourself to do the activity, whether that's pick a certain time, pick a partner to do an activity with, put it on your calendar. So some things you can do, or just some ideas to get you started and brainstorm some activities. Reading a book, taking a bubble bath, drawing, painting, taking a walk, playing a board game with a friend. Things to do that remind you that you care about yourself and that you care about the relationships that you have. So when choosing your activities, it's important to know what your values are, to know what activities will be meaningful to you. So what kind of values do you have regarding your physical well-being? How do you want to look at yourself? What kind of environment do you want to be a part of? How do you want to contribute to your community? How would you like to enjoy yourself? What relaxes you? When are you most playful? Are there special interests you would like to pursue? How would you like to grow? What kind of skills would you like to develop? What would you like to know more about? What kind of work is valuable to you? What qualities do you want to bring as an employee? What kind of work relationships would you like to build? What sort of friend do you want to be? How do you like to act toward your friends? How can these relationships be improved? What helps you maintain sound mental health? Why is this important to you? What issues would you like to address? What kind of partner do you want to be? What quality of relationship do you want to be a part of? How do you want to spend time together? What kind of relationships do you want with your family? What is important to you about a good family? So when you think about some of these questions, you can use the answers to develop some of the activities you would like to enjoy. So for example, I want to be involved in my children's interests in learning. I'd like to build special memories with my kids and spend quality time with them. So an activity you could derive from that: I'm going to attend the next PTA meeting and contact a teacher to be a classroom volunteer. I can plan a small vacation to take with the kids next summer. Pleasurable activities is an activity we enjoy for the sake of the activity. Some of these activities can include spending time with family, enjoying your children or young relatives, enjoying close friends, hanging out with large groups of friends, acquaintances, romance, pets, clubs, enjoying food and drink with others, reading, TV, movies, plays, dancing, playing or listening to music, board games, arts and crafts, sewing, painting, cooking, walking, hiking, sports, martial arts, museums, video games, traveling, shopping, gardening, photography, comedy. You can also look for meaningful activities that help build your own skills. It can increase a feeling of competence, sports, learning a new instrument, working on a home improvement project, woodworking, learning about history, politics, food, taking a class, pottery. Think about some of the activities that you would enjoy doing. What's your favorite activity? What activity is your first foundation stone that can launch more positive behavior? If you feel comfortable, share that activity with us in the comments. I hope you're able to find at least one activity that can help out and help change your feelings, which can help change your thoughts, which can then in turn help you move toward more positive activities again. I am Pantastic, and this has been The Fourth Wall.